Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Today, I'm going to cover going over some of the tools that we use for pricing. And so we talk a lot about being a listing brokerage, being a listing agent. Listing agents are the ones who are going to last in this business. When you focus on listings, you'll earn business. You will always have the buyers that come off of those listings. So stock your shelves with inventory, stock your shelves with listings. You'll get more opportunities from there. While you're going through and working on these listings, you're going to go through our normal listing process. So we talked about that a couple weeks ago. We did our listing process, doing your listing pre-qualification script, doing your preview, doing your pre-listing package, doing your presentation, pricing, and then presentation. So part of your listing process is doing pricing, which is what we're going to talk about today and the tools that we have today. We use our strategic pricing analysis, our SPA, which is an Excel sheet, which I'll get into shortly, and a seller's cost estimator. It's part of our pricing presentation. If you read through our listing presentation, our script, it says in there, as you will see, talking about reality, talking about fantasy land, talking about the different sections of the SPA and the pricing analysis. That's what is actually in the script, and that's what we're going to deal with today. We're going to go over Matrix, how to use Matrix to do a custom export and export the product out of Matrix into your Excel sheet. And then we're actually going to dig into pricing. We're going to go through how to properly price a property, what you need to be looking at, what an appraiser is going to look at, which ones are comparables, which ones aren't. And we're going to answer some questions, how you can get to the right valuation. I don't have a specific property that I plan to use. So if anybody has one that you want to do live demonstration on, let me know. We'll pull that up then. I don't want it to be an extremely difficult, extremely unique scenario because I want this to be more seamless, to be able to show all of the different sides of it rather than being pigeonholed into one specific type of a property. So if you have a property you want to do some pricing on, think of it and let me know once we get to that point. So we're going to dive right in. We'll jump right in and start finding the info out in here. All right. So what I did is I pulled up Matrix and MLS. I have downloaded a cost estimator and a SPA, which are the two forms. You can find all of those documents, the fillable forms, you can find them in Google Drive. If you go to Google Drive and search for Matrix Auto SPA, if you search Matrix Auto SPA, you will have it. If you search Seller's Closing Cost Estimator, it'll come up. If for some reason you're having difficult finding that, send me an email and I will attach them to that email and send it back to you. Right? I will send those over to you. The SPA, we're currently having someone work on to get the new logos, but our seller cost estimator, which you can see here, has all of the new logos, new colors, and changed out. So it's not all the yellow, it's all to the new Century 21 colors. And they included your slow and average and fast sale on the bottom, which we'll dig into that here in a little while. And then the Matrix Auto SPA, we can't get into it right now until we fill this information out, but we will see that in just a few moments. Okay. So when you're going through your process of previewing your home, trying to get a listing, and you're going through the preview process, identifying all of the upgrades and things that this home has, it's really important that you notate what that home has that sets it apart from all the other ones. With all the tract builders that are out there and tract communities that are here, pricing does seem like it would be really easy, but when you start getting into neighborhoods where homes are 15, 20 years older, some have new roofs, some have pools, some have all kinds of updating. Somebody took their dated kitchen out, put a brand new one in. That's where you really need to start paying full attention to what's going on inside that house. Looking at the updates and upgrades, listening to the seller to have them tell you what they did to the property. And we need to be able to find a way to correlate value to that. It doesn't have to be a direct dollar amount, but we have to really be able to find a way to see where that dollar amount is going to come from based on what else is in the market. Because if a seller has a brand new kitchen, brand new bathroom, new floors, new everything else, and that's what everybody else has, is his home worth any more than everybody else's? But if he has that and no one else has that, is his home worth more than anybody else's? So we have to start really paying attention to what's going on in there. Also, when we talked about the preview and pre-listing package and all of those things, even in our tract homes where you're saying, look, all the homes are the same, nobody's really done anything crazy, they've only been there a year, you still need to make sure you preview that home. The preview is about, yes, being able to see what's in that property, but the preview is more about building rapport. It's about getting another touch point with that seller to be able to get them to trust you, to like you, to know that you know what you're doing. It's not necessarily always about seeing everything in the home and understanding the home. It's a lot about building rapport. So when we first get a property, does anybody have an address that they want to use? 714 Camellia. Let me grab up a. So for following online, it'll be 714 Camellia. Spell it. See. 714 Camellia Green. Right. I'm going to write that down. We'll use that here in a second. We'll start going through that. Whenever I start to do any pricing on a home, in Matrix, we're going to start off with just overall getting into pricing a property, right? The first thing that I do is I'm going to come up and I'm just going to search that home and search that neighborhood. 714 Camellia Green. So Camellia Green, anytime you start typing in Matrix, it does give you this. If you try to search the property before this pops up, before this prompt pops up, it will say 5,000 matches down here. And you don't, it's not identifying it until I actually click on this. Now it goes down to 2. So there's 2 matches that are within a quarter mile. What I always do first, I do nothing except put the address in. That's all I do. I just search the address. That's it. I don't want to eliminate any homes. I don't want to do any more than just see the address, know what's going on in the absolute immediate market. So I click on the map. So now we have this here. If you do a map search, it defaults to a quarter mile around that property. So all I want to know is what's going on in the direct vicinity of this home. I need to understand the market. Has anybody ever seen a Lennar community where they have a 1-story home that's 2,500 square foot and a 2-story home that's 2,500 square foot? It's 2,500 square foot of home. Based off of our pricing analysis, it's going to say if it was $100 a square foot, that 2-story home and a 1-story home should be priced the same, right? But that's not always the case. They sell the brand new 2-story home for $235. They sell the brand new 1-story home for $265. I'm just making numbers up. But based off of the way that we would typically do pricing with a price per square foot, those numbers would be different. They wouldn't be the same. So what I want to know is, I want to come in here and I want to identify, are there nothing but 1,100 square foot home in this area? Are there nothing but 2,000 square foot home? Is there a mixture of 2,000 square foot home, 1,100 square foot home? Is there differences? So when I look at this, I'm just going to click around and I'm just going to identify there's 1,300 square foot home, 1,500. I just want to identify what is going on in this market. What type of homes are in this market? Are they all similar? Are they all different? What am I looking at? So it appears so far that all of them are in the 1,100 to 1,700 square feet range. I'm not looking at pricing. I'm really not paying too much attention to that. I'm just looking around at everything that's in there because I want to know if everybody doesn't understand, smaller homes, lower square footage homes, 1,100 square foot homes, 1,200 square foot homes sell for a higher price per square foot than 2,000, 2,500 square foot homes do, right? So at some point when that pricing starts to come together, as the home gets smaller or the home gets larger, there's going to be an overlap. So you might have a 1,700 square foot home where the pricing is similar to the 1,900 square feet homes because these smaller homes have a higher price per square foot. The larger ones usually have a lower price per square foot. At some point, as those numbers come together, there might be some similarly priced homes, but one's 17, one's 19, or one's 1,900, one's 2,100 square foot. And I need to understand that in a community because I can't price a 2,100 square foot home the same as I would that 1,900 square foot home. Or why would we price a 2,100 square foot home like a 1,900 square foot home? Do you understand where I'm going with that? Do you understand that if I know that the 1,900 square foot home sells for $200,000, but so do all of the 2,000 square foot or 2,100 square foot home, they all sell for the same $200,000. We can't price the 2,000 or 2,100 square foot home at the normal price per square foot that our spa might tell us to, because everything else in that market isn't selling at that price, and that's going to create an issue. So I need to fully understand what's going on in this market. How much are these homes selling for? How much are these selling for? What is the conglomerate of the homes that are in here? Are they all small? Are they all large? That's really what I'm getting here, is just trying to get an overview. And if there aren't enough homes to look at, I'm going to go out a little bit further, out to a half a mile, and see what else pops up. So as we look at these, we're looking at these properties that are here. Something else that you want to understand is, how is an appraiser going to look at this? Will an appraiser go out half a mile around a home? Will he go out 1 mile around a home? Will he go 2 miles out around that home to find comps that are like it? We have to understand how they're going to think. An appraiser will go up to 2 miles outside of a home to find comps if necessary, but they're going to stay as close as they can to find the best comps for that property. But if you have a unique home, he will go up to 2 miles. Considering that he won't go over any major road barriers or any other major barrier. They're not going to go to the other side of 75 to find a home, even if it's literally right over the highway. They won't go over a highway, more than likely. They may not go over 301. They may not go past Big Bend. So depending on where that home is, they're not going to jump over barriers to pull comps in, because that barrier right there could either put it into a different city, like jumping from Riverview to Gibsonton, or it's in too much of a different location for him to consider. Excuse me. So we want to start off in a smaller area to see if there's enough homes that are going to give us the comps that we need. So this one, it appears that we can be about 0.5 miles and have more than enough to choose from before we even start narrowing down. Now we start trying to narrow down as to what we're looking for comparisons, because I've already looked around here. Most everything in here is 1,100 to 1,700 square foot. There's pricing from 200 to 300. Somewhere in that 329, 300 range. So now we know we kind of are all in the same area. Across 19th, we're not going to go over here. These are new homes. So we're going to end up eliminating these. So now that I kind of have my spectrum of where I might be looking and I kind of know what the market is, now I want to narrow down a little bit. Tell me about this home. What square footage is this home? It's a 1,500 square foot home. So as I'm trying to compare this to other homes, how large or how small will I go to find the right comparison sizes? Any feedback? Joe, how small would you go and how large would you go if you're looking for comparable homes for a 1,500? Joe uses 15% less, 15% higher. Anybody else? Darby? You said 200 below, 200 higher. What if it was a 3,000 square foot home? You'd only go 200 below, 200 higher? For a 1,500 square foot, you go 200 below, which is that's right around 15%. 10% would be 150 square foot. So anybody else? Joe, you're right about on point with what. So just so you know, every appraiser is different. So as I say that an appraiser will or won't, this is pretty much the majority of what they will or won't do for the most part. But there's always exceptions to every rule. An appraiser can go up to 25% greater or lower than a property. 25% of the total square footage they can. They're probably going to try and stick in that 15% range, because the closer they can get a home, the better it's going to be for their pricing and for what their analysis is. So if we look at a 1,500 square foot home, we're looking at coming down here. The first thing I'm going to do is go to square footage. So 1,500 square foot, 15% is about 200 square feet. So we'll go 200 square foot smaller. We'll do 1,300, and we'll go up to 1,700. It's 15. What was it? 15 and change. Okay. So what I might want to do is I might go 1250 because you said it's 15 and change or so, and then I might go up to 1750 because I did see a couple 1715, 1716 homes. So I want to make sure those are included. Something else that I've heard from different appraisers differently, I've had one tell me that if you have a home that's within 100 square foot of his value, or of a home that's 100 square foot of the subject property, he's not going to make an adjustment for the size of the home. He said, typically within 100 square foot, I usually don't make any adjustments. So if you have a 1900 square foot home and a 1956 square foot home, he's not going to adjust for the size. That's what one told me. But what he might adjust for is if you have a 1956 square foot home and a 1900 square foot home, but your 1956 square foot home has one more bedroom, he'll give you value because you have one more bedroom, not because of an additional square footage. So there's some offsetting there, but most of the time he says that within 100 square foot, I usually don't make any adjustments for the size, but you'll get some for additional rooms. That also being said, even if it's not a bedroom, if it's an additional room, he'll give you valuation for like an additional room, right? So now we have 1250 to 1750. I'm going back to the map, and I'm looking at the map, and we really didn't eliminate any too much of anything. We've kept nearly everything that was already on that initial search. Doing a quick count, it looks like we got 4 active properties, 4 pending properties, and about 12 solds on this side. I understand that this is in Sun City and 19th Avenue right here. If you jump across 19th Avenue, this is all new construction, so we're not even considering anything in there. We're also not going to go across 301 over here because this is Valencia Lakes. So I'm going to keep everything in this Sun City area. If I need more comps, what I'll do is I'll stretch this out a little bit more. But what I'll also do is take another tool up at the top, and I'll grab this draw a polygon tool, and I'm going to drag it right along 301, up 19th, through here, down this way. I'm going to come down here and connect these. Now I want to include that shape. Now this one, I'm out at 1 mile. I think 1 mile is more than enough for this property. And I've included that shape. Now what I can do is I can come back to this one, this red dot in the middle, and I can say delete this shape. And now it deletes everything. It'll take a second. It'll update it. It'll delete everything outside of the polygon that I just drew. So I got my 1 mile radius because I think that's more than enough for this property. And then I drew a line around the ones that I wanted inside of that to eliminate the ones that don't match because I know there's that barrier and then those are newer homes. And this is just taking way too long. To delete the shape, hover over the red dot. And when you hover over the red dot, delete, include, or exclude. As you can see, everything outside of that was deleted now. So now these are the homes that I'll be using for comparison. Now, so we've eliminated square footage. We've narrowed it down based off square footage. Is there anything else we should narrow it down on? So you have a pool home on a golf course here. So I've heard different things from different appraisers. One appraiser tells me, I will only compare pool homes to pool homes as long as they're available. I won't use non-pool homes to compare to pool homes. The reason being, a pool home has a certain level of desirability. When you search for any criteria in any neighborhood or any city, if I just search 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 plus square foot homes, I'll find 180 some matches in Riverview, maybe more. When I click yes for a pool, it'll drop down to probably less than 12. So they're in a higher demand. There's not a dollar amount you can put on demand. You can only put a dollar amount on the physical structure as an appraiser. So it just creates a little bit of a disconnect because a 2,000 square foot home with a pool and a 2,000 square foot home without a pool may have sold for a $40,000 difference, but he can only give and credit $20,000 for that pool based off of his numbers that he uses looking at the construction quality of the pool, the construction cost of the pool, he may only be able to give $20,000, but there's plenty of properties that showed outside of that area that it should have gotten 30 or 40 because that's what they're selling at outside of that area. So it's really tough. So some appraisers say, I won't use pool homes for non-pool homes, and vice versa. Other ones said, I'll only use these. So let's go down and let's click on pool. Yes, we want to include pool homes. And we went from 46 matches to 9. So let's go back to our map and look. They all seem to be in this general vicinity. So this one's going to be a little tougher, which is what well, it's not. It's just a little tougher because there's a lot more criteria to go in. I wanted something that was going to be a little more easy, a little more direct, so that you could really clearly see which homes we're using in pricing. But that's okay. We'll try and move through this one a little bit. So now that we have a decent number of homes to at least start with, let's go to our results, which is our list. And we need to start looking through them. All right, so let's go down to our solds. First, I'm going to start off with the solds. The sold properties are the ones that have already closed, already been appraised, if they had an appraisal on them, already have a loan, already done. So these are the ones where I focus. This is where I'm going to start out at. Like I said, I haven't seen this home, so actually we probably can because it's active, right? Yeah, this one's already on the market. So this is the subject home. So we'll look through it. We'll get an idea of where this pricing is or what the condition of this home is and compare it to the other homes as we look at them so we know which ones are comparison, which ones aren't. This is a golf course front home. Is it this one or this one? This one. It's a golf course front home. It appears that there are some 17 or 18-inch tiles laid, granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, glass tile backsplash. The cabinets don't appear to be original. Looks like the fixtures have been updated. And this is all I'm doing. I'm going through. I'm getting an overall assessment of this property. This is what you'd be doing when you walk through the home, but because normally it won't already be listed. Plantation shutters inside. The paint looks fresh and clean as well. Apparently has a heated towel rack. Washer, dryer. Here's your pool, pavered pool deck, screened in. Okay. So I have an idea of what this home is. This is what you would already have in your mind as far as your preview. So now we're going to go down to the sold homes and try and do some comparison. All we're doing right now is trying to get our head wrapped around what is going on in this community, which homes are as close to this value as we possibly can find. That's all we're doing right now. Looking through here, similar home, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Yours is 2-2 as well, correct? Yours is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. This is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It doesn't have a paver driveway, but it's got a stamped concrete driveway. Which one is worth more? Not really. Pavered and stamped concrete are going to be about the same. You're going to pay the same to have somebody come out and stamp and dye your concrete as you would for someone to lay pavers. It's very similarly priced. It depends because they can't just come out and stamp current concrete. They have to come out and re-pour concrete and then stamp that. So when I was looking at doing a pool patio and looking at that, the concrete and the pavers were very similarly priced. There was maybe a small difference, but not a lot. So not enough for evaluation difference. So you have a pool home, pavered pool deck. This one appears to be a little bit larger, and there's a spa. How much does a spa give value? Couple $1,000. You'll probably spend an extra $8,000 if you're putting a pool and spa in. You're putting an extra $8,000, $10,000 on a spa. Appraiser will probably give you a couple thousand, $2,000, $3,000. It's about what you'll get, but you have other than that, everything's similar. And typically, what they don't do, they don't go, I'm giving $5,000 more for your kitchen. I'm giving $2,000 more for this. They have an overall construction quality or an overall quality build of the home where they give a number. if you're looking at your overall lanai and pool area, so it'll say lanai or pool, he'll have a plus amount or a lower amount. So if you're looking at pool homes, this lanai might get a +5. He may give $5,000 more in value to this home. Why? Because it has a spa and it's a larger patio, more pavers, more aluminum, larger space. So he might give $3,000 to $5,000 more for this patio than compared to the other one. All right, in the home, tile floors, fixtures. Which kitchen looks nicer? It appears to be. It looks nicer, so it shows a little better. Has granite, has stainless, has updated cabinets similar to the other one. So overall, yes, they're very similar as far as what they have. They have updates, they have granite, they have counters, they have appliances, tile floor. Excuse me. Plantation shutters. Looks like the paint is clean and fresh. Laminate floors in here instead of tile. Now, do you get more value because something appears nicer? So if I replaced my kitchen and I used the tan colored cabinets and somebody used white ones, this one, in my opinion, looks nicer. Which one has more value? It's the same materials. There's just a different color. So, but what you're looking at is, does the appraiser have a brain like all of us do? Does he look at something and is he swayed by his own perception in any way? Yeah, we can't help but be swayed by perception of inside of our minds. So that's why we always tell people, keep your home immaculate and show ready all the way through inspections and appraisals. Because if it's immaculate and show ready and they come in, it's going to be a different perception. I walk in, everything's beautiful and crisp and clean, it's great. But if I walk in and there's boxes everywhere and crap everywhere and you're in the middle of moving, I'm going to have a different perception of the quality of your home. They may be able to show me absolute dollar amounts for what you put into it, but I'm not going to be smiling as much as I'm putting numbers down because it didn't hit me the same way inside my perception. There's no dollar amount on that, but do you think that it can sway the way that he perceives the property? Yeah, and if you don't believe it, I'll tell you a story. Anybody want to hear it? Real quickly, and this isn't even a story of what happened. This is a story of how easily your brain is manipulated, and I've told a couple people this. So there's a study that was done. They took a gentleman who is dressed in business attire with a briefcase, and he's holding a cup of coffee. So he's got his arm on his briefcase, holding a cup of coffee, or a cold drink with ice in it. There was 2 different studies they did all at the same time. Walking through a public area with his cup of coffee, and he looks down, and he didn't tie his shoe on purpose. This is all staged. Goes up to random people. These are unsuspecting, unknowing people, and say, hey, would you mind holding this real quick? I need to tie my shoe. And they hands him the cup of coffee or the cold drink. Bends down, ties his shoe, stands up, grabs the cup of coffee or cold drink, and walks away. 15, 20 minutes later, they sent in a research crew. And they went to the unsuspecting, unknowing people, had no idea there was any connection between the two. And they said, would you mind if I paid you $20 for 5 minutes of your time? They said, sure, why not? I'll take $20. They give him a story. And he said, I want you to read the story and then answer a couple questions afterwards. Everybody got the same story. The only difference that they had was a cup of coffee or a cold drink that the gentleman handed it to him 20 minutes earlier. They read the story. The person asked them doing the survey, tell me your overall perception of the main character. 80% of the people who held a cup of coffee said the main character was a warm, genuine, overall nice guy, and they was very likable. 80% of the people who held a cold drink said he was cold, abrasive, not very likable, and they just really didn't have an affinity towards him. The only difference was the drink that they held 20 minutes earlier. Do you think your brain can be swayed by seeing something in a different light? Do you think your brain can be swayed by walking into a beautiful room as opposed to somebody who's in the middle of packing and moving? Do you think you would see more value in something if it was absolute pretty and pristine or in shambles being packed up? That's how much perception can really hit you, and which is why I always recommend doing these things. Anyway, back to this. So this one appears, they both appear very similar. So they have little differences in the way they look, different tastes with things, but everything appears to be very similar. So they have this one listed as a 3-bedroom, or this one listed as a 2-bedroom, and it appears that there is three spaces altogether. There's a master bedroom, there's a den, and then there's a third room. A lot of the homes in Sun City, as you know, Joe, will say 2 bedrooms, but there's always some additional space somewhere. There's like a den or a study or something like that. So this one, just because our Camellia Green one is listed as a 3-bedroom, it may very well be the same layout as this, has the extra space, but it may very well be the same. So we have this one. Do you think this one is a good comparable for the subject property we're looking at? Yes, I agree. So we'll check that one because we want to include that one. Let's go back and we're going to look at some more. Here's another one. This one's a little bit larger. That was the one thing we forgot to look at. Square footage, 1687 square foot. Okay. So the next one, this one's a little bit larger. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath as well. Everything looks the same. Nice landscaping, paver driveway. Lovely wallpaper. Tile floors, updated fixtures, plantation shutters, updated kitchen. White appliances, not stainless, but they still could be newer appliances. You know, they still make white and black appliances brand new. We all know that, right? So stainless doesn't mean new. Stainless is just the color. Okay, just so we're all aware. Go ahead, Dale. Correct. So one's a 3-bedroom, one's a 2-bedroom with a den. If you loaded it in the same, if you loaded it in as if it was a 3-bedroom, even though it was a 2-bedroom with a den, can you do that? Should you do that? Yes, we can, because like I mentioned before, can you compare those two? Yes, you can, because you have the same amount of rooms. It's similar square footage, same amount of rooms. It was just built as a 2-bedroom with a den instead of a 3-bedroom. When you look at some of these Lennar models and some of these other builder models that you have, who uses a formal dining room anymore? Not a lot of people. Some people do, not a lot. But when they build the home, they build it with a formal dining room option, or you can close it off and make it a study, or you can close the entire wall off and open a door up on the side to connect to the other bedroom and bathroom that are there. Now you have a 4-bedroom or a 3-bedroom instead of the 2 or a 3. So there's options for all of those. It's the same size, same space. It was just done differently. It was just built that way. So, and what I guess technically it's, you could call it a Scribner's error and put it in as a 3-bedroom, even though it's a 2-bedroom with a den, because it can be used as a bedroom. What is the requirement for a bedroom? Nope. Everybody thinks that. Everybody thinks it's a closet. There's no law. There's nothing in writing that says it needs a closet to be a bedroom. Right. So what it needs is an ingress and egress. It needs an entrance and an exit. It needs to be able to get in one way, get out a different way in case of fire, for fire code. You go in through the door of the bedroom. If there's a fire inside the house, you got to be able to get out. So that you get out through a window. So it needs a door and a window. So technically you're not correct. Just because the property appraiser doesn't have it listed as that doesn't mean that you can't list it like that. It just wasn't built in the plans labeled that way. So yeah, you could probably do either one. Just make sure that it's usable as a bedroom. Again, more updates. This one has 3 spaces as well. It's only a 2-bedroom, but it has 3 spaces. This one has water behind it. It looks like it's golf course across the back too. Which one's better? Golf course, water, both. Is there a value difference because the other one's on a golf course, this one's on water and a golf course? That was a question. It was posed as a question. I would love some interaction and feedback. I don't care if you're right or wrong. I also want people to hear wrong answers too, because when you say a wrong answer and they say, I thought the same thing, they don't feel as bad. So don't worry if it's right or wrong. What do you think? Kim, what do you think? Do you get more value because there's water in a golf course? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Tenley. You would think so. Yes. Melissa. So yeah. So yes, there's now if you're buying a home brand new and you say, hey, we have $0 lots. You can build your home on this lot. It won't cost you anything to buy this lot. But you can have this lot that's on conservation for $10,000 on top of the price, or this lot on water that'll be $15,000 on top of the price, or this lot that's on a cul-de-sac, pie-shaped, twice as large on a conservation or on a lake for $20,000. You will never get that same dollar amount back. Just because you paid $20,000 more for that lot, an appraiser will not give you $20,000 because you are on that lot. He's going to look at your home on that lot compared to a home that's the same size on a smaller lot, and he's going to say, how much value can I give to your pie-shaped cul-de-sac lot with water in the back as opposed to the one that doesn't have it? And he's going to find a dollar amount based off of that market. A lot of times, you may get $5,000 to $10,000, maybe not 20, but you don't always get that value back. So a lot of people think, well, it's a premium. People, when they sell, I paid $25,000 to have this lot, so that mine's definitely worth $25,000 more. No, that's not the case. You typically, I had a home in Shadow Run. If you're not familiar with Shadow Run, 1 acre lot. It was on Lake Grady, 180 acre lake, 168 acre lake, waterfront, absolutely gorgeous, beautiful view down the long end of the lake. Guess how much we got for value for the view compared to a home that wasn't lakefront? $10,000. The waterfront lots were selling and listed for $120,000 to $160,000. The non-waterfront lots were listed for $80,000 to $90,000 or $80,000 to $100,000. We got $10,000 for the value. Okay, so that's how skewed it. You don't get that money back as far as I paid this much more for it. That's where my value is. So make sure you consider that. We can't just slap, hey, you paid a 20 grand premium, let's throw it right on top. Yours is worth 20 grand more. It's not the case. You get $3,000 or $5,000 on an average lot, normal average lot. You may get $3,000 to $5,000 for your view if you have a water conservation as opposed to backing up to another home. That's typically what we see. So this is a nice pool, screened-in area, very, very comparable. It's concrete, not pavered. May or may not be a big difference. I don't see it. It looks very well maintained. It is golf course and a lake. Is this a good comparison? Yep, good. We'll use that one too. We'll go back. Let's go to another one. Here's another one. It's not golf course, but it's a lakefront. Which one is worth more? Golf course or lake, is one worth more? Okay. Water frontage will probably get you a little bit more than the golf course, but for all intents and purposes, it's probably very similar. And it's more going to be desirability of a buyer. Do I want to have people whacking at balls in my backyard, or do I want to have a nice quiet lake that alligators will come eat my little dog out of? Yeah, which one do I want? Yeah. So and it's all up to the buyer, because I've had a buyer tell me, no, I don't want to be anywhere near water. I don't want snakes. I don't want alligators. I don't want any of that. I was like, well, what about the cute little otters? Because I saw those in one the other day too. So let's look through this one. Regular concrete driveway, no pavers. So you could probably get a little value there. Right away, the home just feels a little bit more basic than the other ones do. It could be photos, it could not be, but it just feels that way. Look at me being judgy based off of my perception. Well, we haven't even seen the inside yet. So then a nice pool. There you go. Updated kitchen. It has the same tile as our subject home. It has granite, has an updated kitchen, stainless. These look like wood look tile floors. Might be laminate, but it's been updated floors. Nice water view, nice open kitchen. It has a backsplash. Looks like it has some fresh paint, even though it's not great colors. The master, same thing. Granite is carried into here. Laundry room a little bit larger than ours. Pool's a little bit more basic, no pavers. We'll probably be able to squeak some value for the paver driveway and the pavered pool deck, even though and this one's just concrete. And it has an outdoor kitchen space. And Joe said it looks like it's a solar heated pool. That's I don't see the solar. It is, okay. There they are. So that could get a couple bucks in value too. He may give it a little more value. Well, the question is, would solar be worth more than an electric heater? Probably not. It's probably you're probably about the same. You've got the ability to. I mean, it's probably an electric heater or a gas heater is going to cost you $1,500 to $5,000 depending on what you buy to get installed. Probably like $2,500 to $5,000. Those solar panels, you're probably looking at similarly a couple $1,000s to get someone to install them and put them on. So you're probably not going to get any value one way or the other for it. Yeah, Joe makes a good point. You get the value in your electric savings, like having the solar panels rather than an electric heater. So that's for as far as an appraisal goes, no. Yeah. So these are just the amenities. So is this a good comparable home? Yep. Yes, in agreement? Yep. Okay. 1725 square foot, and its sold price is 162.26. So we're just going to do the jump. We'll dig into some more deeper discussions about using some because the price per square foot was really low compared to what it should be. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but right now we're just going to do direct comparisons, and we'll dig into that in a little bit. There's another one. Yes, we did. Yes, we selected that one. Another sold comp. Okay. Similar pool home. Updated flooring. Updated bathroom. Looks like most of the bathroom has been updated. Okay. Kitchen looks like it has either Corian countertops or Formica. It doesn't look to be granite, but has stainless steel. And it's in overall good condition. Pool, golf course view. All right. What do you think about this one? Yep, good comp, good. So we have 4 so far. We're going to pull. Now these, we'll look at 2 more. Dated carpet, old fixtures, old tile. Countertops aren't quite there. It does have a pool. Dated master bath. It has a pool and a golf course view. What do you think of this one? Would you use this one or not? No? No? Yep. So Joe made a comment, and I guess we might as well talk about this a little bit. He goes, I'll look at the square foot, the price per square foot, and see what it sold at. What we know of this home on Camellia Greens is it has a lot of upgrades put into it. It had a lot of money spent on it. They went above and beyond. It shows very well. You can tell and see and feel value. Can you tell and see and feel value in this home? No. So that right there is something that if I have other comps, I'm going to use them rather than this one. So no, I don't want to consider this one because I don't feel that same kind of value, and neither did a buyer because they only paid $145 a square foot for it. Get out of here! As opposed to $177 a square foot. Not first. What I want to do is I want to see, because I always have it there. I don't look there first. I look at the home itself and then look there and see where that's at, because of what you could tell a little bit by looking at the price too. You'll go down to that because you'll start to see you may have an anomaly on your hand too. So one of them may have sold, and that's just a complete anomaly. I don't know why it sold for $145 a foot. So you do always want to look at that. So we've got the top two, 177, 169, 162. So of the 3 that we've chosen so far, those are the best comps, and they seem to carry the same value and weight as the one that we're pricing, right? It seems like we can create that same value there. But then when you jump down to What was this one? This one was 155. It's a little lower. It's not quite there, but it's still okay. 145. And here's another one at 130. And you could see this is a good demonstration of pricing and value for the similar home in the same neighborhood without any updates. This is the same exact layout, same exact kitchen as some of the other homes that we've looked at. Same bathroom, same master layout, same laundry room layout, right? And it's got a pool. It backs up to another home. It's not on a golf course. But that's $40 a square foot difference. $40 a square foot times 1,700 square foot. How much is that? Not quite. I think it's $40 a square foot. 40. That's 40,000. 7 times 4 is 28. Yeah, it is. You're right. Sorry. Yeah, $68,000. $68,000 difference. But can you tell where $68,000 went from this home to the other home when you're looking at it? Yes. So that's what we really have to focus on when we're looking at these. This is not a comparable home to ours. I would even beg to say that even though we're including this one on this little bit of lower end, we also look at, this is something else we look at. This one sold in 9 days. Good, bad, ugly, good, but maybe this home that is comparable because it has updates and has upgrades, is on a golf course, has flooring, has a kitchen, has bathrooms, has everything that's been updated, is sold in 9 days. Maybe it's because it was priced a little bit low and the buyer saw tremendous value and came in really quick. That's something else to think about. Here's another one priced a little higher, sold in 38 days. And then this one, this was sold, probably sold data only. They just put it in. Yeah, and it was sold from inside the office, so I would assume it wasn't even on market. Okay. Tenley. Oh, so age of a home. So it's going to be dependent. Like we can't just say, well, we have to use it in this range. Like if I'm pricing a 2014 home, I'm probably going to say I want 2005 or 2010 and newer. And then it really depends on the age of the home, because you can compare a 1990 home to a 2000 home, because that 1990 home probably should have had a new AC, a new water heater, or an 85 home to a 2000. You can compare because it probably should have had the AC, the roof, and all of those things done. It probably should have, kitchen and stuff. You can compare those. It's just you don't want to compare a 1920s home to a 1980s home, right? Because those are two completely different construction quality too. Every so many years, construction permitting changes, codes change, and they have to change the way they build. So you can't compare a 50s home to a 90s home either. So try and keep it as close as possible. But if you're looking in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, those are probably all decent comparisons. But then going into the 80s, 90s, those are probably good. Anything in the 2000s, early 2000s, you can do, 90s into 2000. But the newer ones, 2010 and plus, you probably want to try and stick to 2010 and plus because they're going to hold a little more value than a 2005. Because right now, what year are we in? 2019? A 2005 home is 14 years old. At 14 years, what needs to be replaced or what should be budgeted to be replaced? AC, water heater. You're probably looking at having to do carpet, floors of some kind if they haven't done. Roof is starting to reach that reasonable life expectancy where at 15 years you need to consider it because you're going to have to budget for it. Depending on the type of shingle that was put on, the shingles are going to last. If it's a 3-tab shingle, that's probably a 15-year life roof, maybe 18. If it's a dimensional shingle, 18 to 22. But no matter what, at 15 to 18 years, your insurance company comes back to you and starts asking you for a wind mitt every year or every other year because they want to know what the condition of your roof is, and your insurance premium goes up because it's an older roof. So either way, you're going to start to pay for something at that 15, 18-year mark. All right, so before we go any further, it's important to know that we want all of these on the same screen. And I'm going to show you why in a little bit. When we export, when we take the properties that we use out and we put them onto our spa, we have a tool inside Matrix that we can export them out with. And we could just click export, and it's going to drop them right into our spa. But we need to have them all on the same screen. We can't search for something, click it and save it, search for something, click it and save it. We need to have it all in the same search to be able to export all of them. So we have our active here. Let's look at the two pending. So you have an option too. When we get into the spa, it's going to give you the option to use pending homes or expired homes. Everybody knows what an expired listing is, correct? Property that was listed that did not sell for some reason and the listing terms expired, came off market. Right now, we don't have a ton of expireds. If you used expireds, you would only have none or one or two at most. There's not a whole lot of expireds, so we typically always use pending. And we use pendings because we want to show trends in the market. We can show that all the sold properties were priced at $200,000. All of the pending properties were priced at $205,000, and all of the actives are priced at $210,000. So that's going to show us a trend in the market. That shows that the homes that sold at $200,000 were all priced. Then maybe the prices is going up. Maybe prices are on the rise because it looks like the ones under contract are under contract for $205,000 and higher, and everybody's listed at $210,000, $215,000 and higher. It shows you market trends as well. So it gives you just that idea. So we'll look at the pendings. This one's listed at $142 a square, and this, we'll kind of breeze through these. Not the same kind of quality. Original bathrooms. Original kitchen. It's got some flooring. It's got some great pictures. That's a beautiful picture. Look at that. Oh, I love looking at it pull through the screen. These are awesome. Oh, there's another one. I guess they couldn't open the door. So again, this is not a comparable home. We're not going to consider this one. And then back to that. We got one more pending. Updated kitchen. Updated flooring. $217 a square foot. Holy heck. They're proud of that one. But it's pending, right? So what you really want to try and do is find 5 active, 5 pending, and 5 sold. This is a little bit tougher, but what I could do if I really wanted to, I could come here and I could try and find some more. I could, click on this here and try and find a couple more pending or a couple more active that are going to be similar, because I really want to be able to show them what their competition is going to be. But there's nothing. There's nothing there. There's 2 more pending here. And these are not nearly the same price, and they would completely throw our numbers off, so we're not going to use those. So in this instance, it appears that this might be what we need to use and nothing else. That pending's not good. That sold wasn't good. So this looks like what we're going to be left with. We're going to be focusing on nothing but the sold homes. I'm going to use this one pending because it's right around the corner, because regardless of the value of the home, and I'll make sure I tell the seller, this is not a comparable home, but I want you to see what buyers are buying around you. It's not comparable, but they were willing to spend $250,000 in your neighborhood. So buyers might be looking for that. They found value in $240,000 or whatever in your neighborhood. They didn't find it in your $300,000. So just because you have that value, we just can't seem to correlate it to a buyer. Buyers are only seeing value in this price range in this area. So I always will put those in, just making sure that I make mental note of that, and I put it on my spa later, and I tell the seller that you need to know what's going on in this market. You need to know what's going on in the neighborhood. Just because there is value there doesn't mean we're going to be able to correlate that value over to a buyer. If everybody's only spending this much in that neighborhood, that means that maybe they're not seeing value in spending $300,000. Why? Well, what's available across the street? What's available right over 301? Brand new homes for $300,000 that are only across the street from Sun City. You don't have the same kind of amenities, but you have some amenities, and you can still drive your golf cart and you can still get to where you want to go when you get to that $300,000 price point. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but what I'm showing you is that's what you have to consider. Is there a golf course across the street? No. Is there some of the other amenities over there on the side of Sun City? No. But people may be seeing, well, for $300,000, I can get a brand new home right over there. I'll pay for a golf membership. I'll pay for this because I know there's other fees that I have to pay when I'm in this part of Sun City. So we have to know those things, and I want to always consider them and include them. All right, so now that I've got those chosen, the next thing we're going to do, and some of you may not have this set up on your screen yet, so I'm going to do this real quick, and then I'm going to go ahead. Sorry. So Darby said there's another home that's pending on that street that's 2,100 square foot, and it's only that size because they enclosed the lanai. How much? 322. 600 square foot larger for 322. No pool. So at 600 square foot, at our $100 and some per square foot pricing, just doing some direct numbers, $170 a square foot pricing at 600 square foot is how much? That's almost $100,000. That means that if you considered your home price like theirs, they should be only, if you did the same price per square foot, you would only be 220, 230. And then you would have to put the pool on top of that and be 240 or 250. It's too big of a difference in square footage to be a consideration. And an appraiser has to make too much of an adjustment for it to be a good direct valuation. When you're looking at making a 1,500 square foot to a 2,100, that's 600 square foot, that's nearly 50% of the size of that 1,500 square foot home, and you want to make an adjustment for it. You want 50% more house on top of it. That's not a comparable home. And an appraiser won't be able to use it. His boss will kick it back and tell them, I need extreme justification as to why you're using this. There better be no other comps in there for you to use, or he's going to kick it out and not allow you to use that. It's too big. It's too much of a difference. He would have to make an adjustment of about, an appraiser doesn't do price per square foot. So for that adjustment of $177 a square foot that everything is selling at, you might get $80 to $90 a square foot for his adjustment. So for 600 square feet, that's almost $60,000. So you might get a $60,000 adjustment, but that's a huge adjustment to make for size. They'd rather have something that's closer in value. So once we have the properties chosen that we're going to use, what I'm going to come down here to do is go to export. So down at the bottom of your screen, you have this export. You have it whether you're in the results section or the map section. Just go to export. In your export that you have, we have the file, the type of export. If it's set up, you'll have your SPA data export set up. If you don't, I'm going to show you really quickly once I export this where to go to do it, and we can do it for you, or I can send you the instructions. So I'm going to do my SPA data export because it's my pricing analysis SPA data, the data from Matrix that I'm sending to my SPA, and I'm going to click export. And there it goes, it downloads it. Okay? So now I have my data that I'm going to put into my SPA. Best case scenario would be 5 active, 5 pending, 5 sold. In this instance, we don't have that because of the unique type of property and the area and what's selling. What we have there, we only have the sold. So 5 active, 5 pending, 5 sold, and you'll see that on the SPA when we talk about that. So we exported that out. How do you do your SPA export? Let's talk about that really quickly. Go to My Matrix. Go to Settings at the bottom. In your Settings page, go to Custom Exports. Click on Custom Exports. I already have one here. If you don't have anything in this box, you don't have anything set up as far as a custom export. So I already have SPA data here. If you want to do one, you have to hit Add Export. I'm going to click Edit so I can show you. When you click Edit, or when you click Add, what you'll have is a blank box here, and then this box with all of these criteria here. This is the exact criteria that has to be. This is getting exported to a CSV file, which coordinates with Excel. This exact order is comma separated value that's going to be exported. So it's going to be in this order how those comma separated values are exported in a file. So when we import it and upload it to Excel, it's in that specific order, so it goes into the right fields when we add it. This is very important that this is in this specific order. Okay? So if you don't have it set up, just let me know. What I'll do is I'll send it to you. I'll take a snippet of it, and I'll tell you, go to Matrix, go to Settings, go to Custom Exports, and I'll snippet this, and you just add them as you go. And then you come to the bottom and click Save. Very, very easy to do. So now that that's done, now that we have our export out, now we want to open up our Matrix. So what we'll do is once you have your matrix auto spa there, notice how this yellow box pops up. If you don't have this yellow box pop up, we need to address your security settings. You have to go to, I won't be able to do it on this one. I'll have to open up another one. So you have to go to File, go down to Options, go to Customize Ribbon. Once you have Customize Ribbon, go over to this box on the right. See how it says Developer right here? This box is usually unchecked. Check Developer, hit OK. Go to File, top left of Excel. Oh, you didn't download it. You had to view in Drive, but when you open this, so that's just allowing you to view it now. Up here to File, go to Options. You don't have your options. You don't know why yours isn't. No, there it is. Sorry. Options, different on all of them. So Options, go to Customize Ribbon, click on Developer, hit OK. Then go up top. You just added the Developer button. So you click OK. Up on the top of your screen, you added this Developer button right here. So click on that. Come over here to Macro Security. Yours will probably say disable all macros and will not have this box checked. You want to go down and click enable all macros. It says it's potentially dangerous. It's not going to do anything to your computer. It's literally just going to attach to this one file. So enable all macros and then check the box that says trust access to VBA project object module. Okay? And what that will do is once you do that, and you open up your Matrix Auto Spa, it'll allow this box to pop up. And this is where you're going to put all of your name in. Heated square foot is what? 15 what? 1544. This is the most important number here. This heated square foot is the most important number. For all of our calculations, you'll see it does the calculation off of the square footage of the property, so make sure you have the square footage correct. Excuse me, 2006 built home. This one is 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 0 halves, lot dimensions. Not hugely important for this demonstration, but you should always have them because you're going to be able to show that your lot is larger or smaller. Garage or carport, I put either 2 CG car garage or 2 car carport, so T2 CP carport, just so you know what you're doing. Pool, yes or no? Yes, it is a pool. Always, right now, we're always using pendings, not expireds, unless you're in a specific market where you see a lot of expireds. So click the box to use pendings instead of expireds. Then you click next. When you set up your spa export, it goes to your download folder, or however your computer is set up. More than likely, it's set up to export it to your downloads folder. So go to your downloads, and it should be there. It'll be labeled. Whatever you have your spa data export labeled as, that's what it'll be, spa data. Okay? So we'll double click on that. It's always going to tell you, you have less than 5 active listings if you don't have 5. That's fine. Yes, I want to continue. You have less than 5 solds. Do you want to continue? Yes, I do. I want to continue. You have less than 5 pendings. Do you want to? Yes, I want to continue. Then it says, you're finished with the file that was exported from Matrix. Do you want to delete it? I do. I just say, yes, I delete it. But here's why. I always keep this search open. So I always keep this open while I'm doing this in case I need to export it out again or change that search or something. But if you do the, if you leave it there, you will have SPA data 1, SPA data 2, SPA data 3, SPA data 4. If you don't delete the SPA data file every time you import it into Matrix, you'll end up with a file full of SPA data, SPA data, SPA data, SPA data, SPA data, and you won't know which one is which. You have to hover over each, look at the time, look at the date. That's the right one, that's the wrong one. So I just got in the habit of deleting them as I use them. And then if I need it again, all I do is click export. It's right here because I keep this search open all the time. All right, so now we come back. Yes, I want to delete it and remove it. We have here, I prepared this for Darby. Here's my name. Here's your buyers can pay section. Buyers can pay is your active properties. Buyers did pay is your sold properties. And buyers want to pay, want to buy, this is contracted properties, pending properties. Okay, so you will see that in your SPA, you have your address, square footage, list price, because this one hasn't sold yet. Down here it's sold price, the square footage, price per square foot. If you were to price your home like this home that's on the market at 1544 square foot times 233 square price per square foot, you would list your home at $359,000. Okay? Oh, yeah, that's right. I was confused. This is the subject property, remember? And it is listed at $359,000. So now let's go to the next section. Buyers did pay. This is the sold properties. Sold is the ones that we chose that were similar, 16 some square foot, 17, 17, 16. Looks like your price per square foot is going to be between 156 and 178. If you did the average of all of those, it'd be $166 a square foot, and you'd be pricing it around $257,000. And moving down to the pendings, here's all the information. Here's your price per square foot. If you did the average of these and priced it like everything that has a contract, if you wanted to get a contract on your property, you'd be pricing it at these at $278,000. So let's look at these prices. It's good to understand the price per square foot, but also to understand the price. $300,000 home, 1687 square foot, we're 1544. That's 140 square foot difference. An appraiser will give you a value, give you a number change there. He'll give you a value for the difference in size. It's not going to be $100 and some a foot, though. So in this regard, this is $178 a foot. He's not going to give you $178 a foot for 140 square foot. This one's larger. He's not going to take that 140 square foot times $178 a square foot and deduct it off. He'll make a small adjustment. So 140 square foot, maybe he'll do it at about, maybe 100 square foot, $14,000. We don't know. It's going to be up to him how he wants to make that adjustment. He may give a $10,000 to $14,000 difference from there, which makes you now from $300,000 now to $286,000. But we said that if you priced it like the average, you'd be at $257,000. So that's why it's important to kind of understand that every property is different, which is why I wanted to do an easier one to see more to it, but this one just makes it a little more difficult because you really have to look at price per square foot. You have to look at square footage. You have to look at sold prices because these homes can be so different. It's not as direct as everything's selling for this. This is where I would price it. Make a couple adjustments here and there. We have to understand every side of this home, price per square foot it's sold for, sold price, all of those to try and get to a clear number. Because this one was the highest price sale of anything that's in there. It was only on market for 26 days. It was listed at $309 and sold at $178 a foot. If I did $178 a foot times 1544, we're at $275, not $257. Do you think that this home was more comparable than East Del Webb that we saw? I believe it was. I believe Colusa Creek here was way more comparable than that East Del Webb that sold at $260 for the same size home. That's $40,000 more that it sold for, and it appears that it appraised for that. Let's go back and look. No, that wasn't it. Yeah, wasn't it? No. 1219 Calusa. $1208 Calusa was the one. Why is that not one on there? Where's that? Where'd that one go away? Oh, there it is. Okay. So this one, we go down at the bottom, and we see this was an FHA loan. Those are also things that you want to go look at too. This one sold. Why did that one sell $20,000 higher? How did it sell $20,000 higher? You come in here and you look at the terms and it says cash. So this one sold for $20,000 higher than everything else that sold for in this neighborhood. Well, it appears that they had a cash buyer, so it was perfect buyer, perfect world, perfect financing, no appraisal probably because they realized they were overpriced. This buyer just wanted this home. They paid 20 grand more than everything else. So Mr. Seller, if you want to sell like that one, we have to hope that we find that exact buyer. Same scenario, same everything. Otherwise, when we go to get a loan and we have to have an appraisal, we're not going to appraise because everything else sold for much lower. So just looking at things like that, knowing an FHA loan, FHA is a little bit more strict with pricing and appraisals. They go ahead. Yep. That's where we're going next. Yep, absolutely. So Joe makes a very valid point. In Sun City, it's not very prevalent. We're doing a Sun City home here. It's not as prevalent that there's sellers closing cost credits. But when you look at a new builder like Lennar and you are selling in a Lennar community where your home is 5 years old, but Lennar is selling homes there, and you're competing with closing costs, this is a number that's going to be here. So a lot of other sellers that have sold will have had to give closing costs to compete with the builder. If they put it in correctly when it closes, if the admin puts it in correctly, it's going to say sold price and seller credit here. It'll tell you what the buyer got as a seller as a credit. Guess what the appraiser does with that? Sold price automatically takes it off. So that home is worth that much less because of that seller credit. So when he's comparing those two homes, now all of a sudden you went from a $300,000 home to a $294,000 because he literally just chopped that right off. That was money towards a credit. It wasn't necessarily towards a value, which I don't necessarily agree with because you appraised it for that amount so they could get the credit. So you said it's worth that amount. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to appraise that amount and give them that loan, right? But yet he takes it off whenever they're doing comparisons. I don't agree with it, but I don't have an appraiser license, so I don't get to make that call. So that's with these homes, that's what you really have to be aware of. You got to see that's a pretty big spread from $156 to $178 a square foot. That's $22 a square foot for a 1,500 square foot home. That's $30,000, right? 1,544 times $28 a square foot. That's $43,000. That's a $43,000 swing if you priced it like the one on the low end and the one on the high end. That's huge. That's how do you know which one to do? Do we price it on the low end or the high end? Because 3 of those were very, very considerable. On water, on a golf course, updated kitchen, updated baths, pool, pavers, everything. They were all similar. How do you know which one to do? Comments? Anybody? How do you know which one to use? Do you go $43,000 less, $43,000 high? How do you explain to the seller that you have the $43,000 range he gets to pick, and when it doesn't sell, it's your fault? How do you do that? They say you split the difference, but what if he says I put over $100,000 and I'm worth every end of that top dollar amount? Why are you arbitrarily just splitting my difference? I put way more money in than they do. You can see it. Well, I don't see it. I see the same amount of money in there, but there's a buyer saw a difference in there. A buyer thought this one was worth more than the other. Then we go here to this. How long were they on market? Where did buyers find value? Then we look at the list price to the sale price. 3,099 to 300, 290, 290, 284, 279, 269, 260. So it looks like they're within about 3% of list price. So the homes are selling at 97% of list price. So where do we value this at? Because this 257, number one, isn't going to win us the listing because his home looks just like all the other ones. And if we price it at 166 a square foot instead of the very top end, how do we do that? How do you make that comparison? You use this section here, the competitive advantages. You come into here, you look at each property, read the write-up, and know what's going on in there. What do they have? What are we comparable? Now, we were comparable to the way we look, but what about here? This one has, well, hell, Electrolux washer and dryer. What the hell is that? I know GE and Maytag. Wow. 50-gallon GeoSpring hybrid heat pump water heater. Cool. Water softener. Like, we're listing all of the things that they have that create that value. So do you have all of those same things, Mr. Seller? Well, no, but I did this, 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 and this. I painted, I organized, I put in closet organize. You know, where's that value? So if we see value here and we come back to our spot and said, you have everything that this home has, and it appears that they sold at this price. Their list price per square foot was $183, and they sold at $177 a square foot. That's what it appears. I would say that we would be comfortable listing on this higher end next to this property. That's what I would say. I would tell him, yes, Mr. Seller, I think you are in line and in touch with that home, and I think our value would be very considerable and very similar to that. I see they listed at $3,099, but you are a little bit smaller of a property. I don't think an appraiser would make a huge discretionary change between that home and yours, but he will make some. So I would say, you know, if he's going to make an adjustment there for 140 square foot, it might be $10,000, $14,000. So what's 300 minus 14? Maybe 286. I'd say your number might be in there. You know, but I haven't seen the property. I don't know the particulars. I'm just going off just numbers, trying to extrapolate and show you where the brain is at and what I'm thinking to try and get to these numbers. But you put the competitive advantages here. You know where you stand. If you have a sheet of everything he's put in with value numbers attached to it, you can use that because you can give that to an appraiser. And it appears there's a pretty good swing here, a $40,000 swing, depending on where you're going to price it. But it looks like then there's this one that's 100, this pending one that's 170 square foot smaller. That sold for $218. It's pending at $218 a square foot on Camellia Green, right around the corner. So our cohort in the room says they are very similar. Well, let's look and see. The photos are lower quality. It has a this is, if you can't, this is a high-end granite. This is like a level 4 granite that's in here, and they have it on the backsplash and everything too. They're nicer appliances. They've got glass inlays in there. They're shaker style cabinets, but they have glass inlays. It's got floor. They have extra cabinet space. Pictures are horrible. It's got the wood look tile. I love seeing half a bed. That's perfect. It's a beautiful towel. I love that towel. It's on water. It's got a nice pool. If we could see the whole thing. All right, so this one, well, in 5 days got that. So, and this one's at $218 a square foot listed. There's another $40,000 higher. Is this going to appraise? I would beg to say no, but have you ever been wrong before? So have I. I've said that thing will never appraise, and it does. I've said this thing will absolutely appraise, and it doesn't. So I've taught myself to never say that shit. Don't say that, because you never know. I had a property, my personal property, I listed for $225,000. The highest comp of any kind was at $209. I'm not stupid. I knew it wouldn't appraise. Fully expected having to lower the price, but I had a few things that set it apart, but didn't give me $16,000. I knew I should only be around $209. They had the lender come out. We got a $225 asking price. They did an appraisal. The appraiser didn't come out to the property because they were doing a Wells Fargo loan, putting 20% or more down, and Wells Fargo said, we're just going to do a BPO because we feel in that area values are being held higher. We don't need to send somebody out. We use our internal blah, blah, blah system for an appraiser. And it appraised. Nothing else even close, and we appraised. So, I mean, and I was fully expecting to have to lower the price, so you never know. So now considering this, now what do we do? Now you go down to contract. When was the contract? Price change 4/1. Contract date 4/3. This just contracted today, so it just went under contract. It's not closing for a month, so we don't know what that sale price is going to be. We don't know what that appraisal price is going to be, but what we can do is we can tell our seller now we were saying, wow, 218 a square. He's listed at 233. He's listed even higher than that. That's another $20,000 over our $45,000 spread. He's $100,000 over where some of our valuations are, because he's listed at 359, and our evaluation says if we took this property and made some adjustments, maybe 290. Isn't that where we were at when we were talking before, like around 290? Okay. So yeah, I remember because we did this pricing before, and it's all coming back to me now. But we were in that 290, maybe matching the most recent sale of 300, matching that same price, mirror it 3099. It got an offer. You look just as good, so maybe we'll be able to get the same kind of offer and get a cash buyer and do that as well. But this seller says no. Yep. So he paid $390 and put a pool in. Mr. Seller, just as I tell buyers that contract on properties that my investor purchased, and when he paid $100 for it and is selling it for $250, Mr. Seller, what you paid for this property is of no consequence to the next sale. Unfortunately, same thing. The buyers always want to do that. I see what he paid for it. I'm not paying $1 over that. What he paid for it is of no consequence to this transaction. Just because he paid that little for it, you don't see everything else that went into it. I'll give you the whole breakdown and show he's only making this much money off of it. But I shouldn't have to do that. Your agent should be strong enough to tell you that. We should be strong enough to tell our sellers what you paid for and what you did to this home is of no consequence to our pricing and what this home should be priced at. I understand you wanting to list higher and do this and do that to recoup your investment. I'd love to help you out. But in this instance, I'm going to want to put into our listing agreement, Mr. Seller, you agree to lower the price on this date, on this date, on this date, and on this date by this much, by this much, by this much, and by this much. Get him to agree to it. Because if he wants to list this much higher than anybody else has ever even sold for or even thought of buying a home in that neighborhood, I want it written in there that you're motivated to sell. The only way I get that is contractually obligating you to lower your price. 30 days after market, if no offers, price will be reduced to $349. 45 days after market, if no offers, price will be reduced to $325. Whatever it is until I get to the price that I want. And if he won't sign it, have a nice day. Because you're not going to sell. I'll give you the opportunity to sell, but you're not going to sell. You're going to waste my time. I spent good money on good pictures, a lot of time doing open houses, and you're telling me you're not even motivated to sell. And even if we do sell it and we don't have the perfect buyer, we're not going to appraise, and you're not going to sell it because you just told me by not signing that you won't sell at that price. So if an appraiser comes in at that price, we're not selling anyway. So we have to be strong enough to tell them these things. Look, I get it. You put a lot of money into it. You want to sell it. But that doesn't mean that that's what it's worth. You put those things in, and this is what they will tell you. Those things were put in for your enjoyment. You put 50 grand into a pool, you're not going to get 50 grand out. You put 30 grand into a kitchen, you're not going to get 30 grand out. You put in, and some of that cost is the cost of enjoyment. So then we tie this to our closing cost estimator. I'm going to go back to the spa in a minute and do something different. The very bottom section down here is one of the most important sections of this spa. And this bottom section gives us our absorption rate. Does everybody understand what absorption rate is? No? Anybody? Absorption rate? I know you know. Absorption rate is how fast the market is absorbing those properties, how fast buyers are buying those properties, how long are they on market, giving us an idea of how long it should take your property to sell. what we want to do is we're going to go between this and our matrix. So what is our competing price range? Our competing price range for this is going to be 250 to 350. Is it a realistic expectation that a buyer searching in here would be willing to spend between 250,000 and 350? Semi-reasonable. 350 on the high end. We're listed at that price, so we'll just put it in there, and nothing else is going to show up anyway because nothing is listed that high. But our competing price range, and the next part of that is competing homes on the market in this price range. So we need active homes on the market. And this is on the market. What is our market for a buyer buying this home? Sun City, all of Sun City. Is it reasonable to say that a buyer looking in Sun City will look in that section, will look in Kings Point, will look over? Is it reasonable to say they'll probably consider everything? So let's say Sun City. No, more than likely not, especially, it depends on the city, but Sun City is not. So why did nothing show up? Between 250 to 350. Active. Should be. Yeah, why is nothing showing up? That's weird. I'm going to come back in and do this again for a new search. So I'm going to come in. For some reason, it kind of glitched out on me. So Sun City, 210 homes. Price point between 250 to 350. And for a single family home, it's important that we only include single family homes. 23 homes in all of Sun City between 250 and 350. So I'm going to come back here to my spot. I'm going to put in here 23. Now I want to know the homes sold in this price range in the last 6 months. So I go to sold, uncheck active. We have 34 homes in that price range that have sold. And when I click again, it's going to tell me that we're selling 5.7 homes a month in Sun City in this price range, and it is a 4.1 month supply of homes, which means that since there's 23 homes on the market and we're selling 5.7 a month, it will take 4.1 months to get rid of all of the inventory on the market if nobody else lists their home. So, Mr. Seller, a home priced at market price sells in market time. Based off of Sun City's numbers, if we priced your home at market price, we would sell in market time, which is 4.1 months. But we saw something different. I forgot to include pool. So let's see how that changes it. 5 homes with a pool, 18 homes sold. So let me change those numbers and see how much that changes it. See how much a pool makes a difference. 5 homes on the market, 18 sold in 6 months. That's a 1.7 month supply of homes. That means in, what is that, just over 45 days or about 45 days? And we saw that 2 of those homes sold in 36 days or 38 days, which is right in that range. So 1.7 month supply of homes for pool homes in Sun City. Now we want to zero in competing homes in the neighborhood, in the specific neighborhood that they are in, not all of Sun City. If somebody was looking for your specific area, how are you doing compared to Sun City as a whole? How does your neighborhood relate? Are you selling as well or not as well? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, and we would have already had this map done, but I have to redraw it out a little bit. I'm going to include this specific northern section of Sun City here and include that. Go back to my criteria, look at my active homes. There's nothing active. Wow. Because we're priced higher. But let's just say there was 1, because 1 makes the calculation work. And how many sold? There's 9 sold. 1.5 month supply. So we basically were right on par with the way Sun City is selling, 1.5 month supply of homes. I'm sorry, 1.5 sold to 0.7 month supply of homes. My apologies. 1.5 sold a month. There's only 1 on the market. It's going to take 0.7 months to sell this home, less than a month, which The average days on market is 18, 26, 38. So that's right on par. This is telling me, Mr. Seller, that a home priced at market price sells in market time. So if we priced our home at market price, which is this range right here, this one, if we price it at market price of $300,000, because I would typically be at this average price, but because they're so different, I'm going to go with the best comparable. And a lot of times what I'll even do is I'll highlight it too, so it stands out and say this is your best comparison that's here for someone I present it to them. So if we priced it at that, we should be able to sell in this amount of time. How long has this one been on the market, Darby? So this one's been on for 56 days because it is not a home priced at market price, and it will not sell in market time. A home priced above market price sells in above market time. Case in point. Beautiful home, absolutely gorgeous. So don't tell me that I've got all this extra stuff in here and it's worth more. It's not to a buyer. So no, that's not the case. Just because you put more money in doesn't make it worth more. So then we come to our our seller's cost estimator. This is going to pair hand in hand with our SPA. So we have this seller's cost estimator. Put your property address, the seller's name. If you have a buyer, put it in there, because you'll always do an updated one of these when you get an offer and you want to accept it, prepared by yourself. Then we come up here, and in this one, I would recommend no higher than probably what the most recent sale or most recent list price of that highest sale was, which was $309, $310. So let's just say we put it at $315, just to flatter him. Actually, we could probably even go a little higher because we need to be in a. No, this should be good. So we'll do $315. This automatically drops $5,000 increments for you. It gives you this range. And then at the bottom, you'll see that slow, the higher price one, is a slower sale. Fast, the lower price one, is a fast sale. And average, in the middle, is an average time sale. Our average days on market was 18 days, so 26 to 38 days for the two of them that sold. Mr. Seller, these are your typical costs that you incur. Well, before that, I'm going to say this is our range. I explained the range, the fast, the slow, based off everything we saw. Hold the SPA out, hold the cost estimator, point to the highest price sale, point to the lowest price sale. Do you feel like you're better than this one? Do you feel like you're comparable to that one? Going back and forth, trying to find how long you wanted. You said you wanted to be in this place by this time, and you needed money out of it to do this for this, and you wanted to make sure that your kids were taken care of for that. So based off of everything I've shown you, where do you want to price the home? $359. That wasn't one of the options. But you show them where those numbers are, and this is where it makes sense. So this is where everything makes sense. This is the highest that I would recommend listing your property for, because nothing else is sold for even close to that. There is that one. Even if we priced it like the one that's under contract at $233, $218, even if we priced it at $218 a square foot, like the highest one that's there, we would only be at $336, not $359. And I still think that's slightly unreasonable. But going over those numbers, we say this is the range that we would like to be in. These are your typical costs. So, Mr. Seller, if you want to do quick math, if you say it costs about 8% to sell a home these days, 6% in total commissions and 2% in closing costs, this is approximately your 2% closing costs. This is the biggest portion of it. Doc stamps on the deed, that's a typical seller cost. Title insurance in Hillsborough County, it's customary for the seller to pay for your title insurance for a buyer. That's a typical seller cost. We don't change those things. They can become negotiable, but this is customary in this county. Selling from commission, this is what we offer a buyer's agent to come in and purchase your property. In our market, it is a competitive market, and there are builders offering 3%, 4%, and 5% to buyer's agents. So we always offer 3%, because if we discount them, we are going to be telling them they're not worth as much, and they'll sell the neighbor's property for 3% before they sell yours. Recording fees. Title companies, lenders, they sometimes have recording fees. There's a tip. I keep this in here just as a simple padding fee, because there's going to be some random fees, whether it's your estoppel, your title company recording fee, whatever that is, there'll be some. A transaction fee, this is another fee per the transaction for our brokerage. And marketing firm commission, this is the marketing firm That's what you pay us to market your property, to bring you a buyer, to get you to a successful closing and compensate us for the money that we put out upfront without guarantee of a sale. Home warranty plan, whether we're offering one or not, I will always keep this in here. This is just a good idea to keep it on as a, well, I'm not giving that. Just leave it in there. It's a $600 difference in there. It's going to be a good padding fee to make sure that we're always on the plus side of things. As we get closer and we get an offer, we'll do some absolute direct numbers based off the offer that we have. But in the meantime, we're going to leave it as such. Mortgage payoff, that's where you're going to put that in here for him. And then prorations of taxes and assessments. So before I get to that point, this is the estimate of the seller's net proceeds. Estimate. Just an estimate. When we look at this, just because this says if we sold at $315, you'd make $292, $220, that will not be the number that's on your settlement statement. Let's get very clear on that. That will not be on your settlement statement. This is the net to you of the transaction. The sale of your home will net you approximately $292,000. Let me explain. Mr. Seller, you have a loan, correct? I'm just saying, you have a loan, correct? Yes. You have a loan. You pay monthly principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, correct? Yes. Your taxes and insurance goes into an escrow account. So you've been paying taxes every single month up until now. If we closed in June, your taxes were $3,600 for the year. If we close at the end of June, that's 6 months. That's $1,800 you've already put into your escrow account. Well, the title company, because taxes are paid at the end of the year in Florida, is going to make you give a credit to the buyer of $1,800. You're going to have to pay them $1,800 for the time you own the property. Your lender is not going to give them that money. Your lender is going to give it back to you after you close. So once we get a final closing date, I'm going to put in here that you have to give them the $1,800. So now this is what your settlement statement will say, $294.20. I just don't want us to get to closing and have you be, the one that you showed me was $2,000 more. Like, remember we discussed prorations, taxes, assessments, and all those other things. We discussed where that was in. We discussed that it was just an estimate. You're going to need to contact your bank. They're going to give you the information. They'll get the satisfaction of mortgage. They'll get the payoff. You'll get a satisfaction of mortgage, and you give them your new address, and they will send you money back. They'll send you your escrow money back. They're also going to give you the money that you've been paying in for insurance back, too. You get all of that back because insurance is paid up front. And you also get a credit back from your insurance company. If you just paid a $1,200 a year policy for insurance 2 months ago, well, you only used 2 months of that policy for $1,200. You have $1,000 you didn't use. You send them the settlement statement. They will send you a refund for the rest of that policy. They'll send you $1,000 back. So really, you're going to make more than that, but I'm just giving you from the net proceeds of this transaction, everything associated with that's where you're going to be. Any questions on that in the spot? No? Questions, comments, concerns? Yeah, we'll print it. I'll print it out. So it's imperative that we go through and really dig into your spa and pricing when you do it. You really, really have to know your areas, know your neighborhoods, and if you don't know them, partner with somebody. Ask your manager. Ask me. I'm here. Excuse me. I do not mind. I'm more than happy to sit down. We sat down and did this one before. I'll sit down with Sean and do another one. I mean, we'll sit down and do pricing on anything. I don't mind. That's what we're here for, to help you fully understand where you're at, where you're going, so that you don't get led astray. The one thing I never want you to feel is that you don't have support. I never want you to get to somewhere where you need the help and somebody's not available. Because if you get to that point, you'll probably never do what you did before to get that opportunity, because you feel like you'll be let down again if you do. So if you ever need it, ask. That's what we're here for. We'll schedule a time. We'll sit down. We'll do some pricing. Do your best to give me some notice. If you call me at 7 o'clock at night and say, I got to show up at this guy's doorstep tomorrow at 8 a.m., might be a little more difficult. I'll give my kids some NyQuil and we'll sit up and we'll do it on the computer. But it's really important that you know these neighborhoods. It's really important that you know things like price per square foot. We use price per square foot for a spa, and we base our price per square foot off of the square footage that's here to get a number. But that's not how an appraiser does it. It's important to understand an appraiser doesn't do that. An appraiser looks at a comparable property. He would say, Calusa Creek, this property here, $300,000. That was the sale price. That's where he's going to start, because they always adjust the comparable properties to come up with a number for the subject. They'll look at the comparable property and say that's a $300,000 home. I think the subject was better. Subject better add. SBA. Subject was better, so I'll add value to that 300 to make the subject's price higher. So I think the subject was better. Construction quality, he may give $10,000. I think the subject had a better view in the back, and he thinks it's worth $5,000. He'll put it. So now you have a $10,000 construction quality and a $5,000 view. So now you went from $300,000 to $315,000. So now he would, at the number, it would be a total estimate of all the changes, would be $315,000. If the subject is worse, if the comp is better, comp better subtract. So if the comp is better, he'll take number. I think this comp had a much better kitchen. He'll take $10,000 off of that, whatever that is. And if you want an appraisal report, let me know. I will send you one, and we can sit down and talk about that one day. And we'll go through those lines and see exactly what numbers an appraiser uses or what he's looking at for valuations. Number of rooms, square foot size, lanai, pool, construction quality, construction grade. I mean, there's a ton of things that they're adding in and putting into that. And then there's no direct numbers. I very rarely see more than about $20,000 to $30,000 in value given for a pool. You don't see it a whole lot. Unless it's a brand new pool that they paid $50,000 for and it shows, they may get a little bit more. We just saw one 6 months ago that wasn't a pool. It was a 1-year-old home. They had an extended lanai with a built-in kitchen outside, covered patio, pavered, gorgeous lanai. He gave $45,000 in value for it, for a 1-year-old thing. You rarely see more than $30,000 added for a pool. Joe, do you see pools, if they're doing value for adding in plus, do you see much more than $20,000 or $30,000? Yeah. This one had no pool. It was just a pavered lanai with a built-in kitchen and covered area, screened in, bumped out like 20 feet by 30 feet, 20 feet by 20 feet or whatever. $40,000 he gave. But it was a 1-year-old home. It was just put in 6 months ago, so he felt there was more value there. So we never know exactly what an appraiser is going to do, so you can never say it never will appraise, or absolutely it'll appraise. And definitely that G word, guarantee, yeah, get that out of your vocabulary. Never guarantee anything. I think that's all for now. What you need? Yeah. I'm just, if you do, I'll reply with a snippet. If you need to have the SPA data, the export, the actual forms that need to be exported, send me an email. I've already got a canned email ready to go that I can just click it over to you. It tells you where to click, how to click, and a snippet of what fields need to be in what order. It's really easy to do. It'll only take you a second or two. So that's basically it. Is it okay to overprice a home? So the correct answer is it depends. No offense to have an open conversation. You overpriced this home. How was the outcome been? Okay. So we discussed this beforehand. We said Darby and Deborah, they work together. They've done a lot of business in a specific area. Said he's going to overprice this. And my initial reaction was, that's way too high. You'll never sell it. It'll never happen. You're not going to get anything. It's a waste of all of our time. Blah, 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 blah. And I went on my rant. And then I was done. And then we talked and said, so what are you going to do? She goes, well, we've worked that area. We're going to hold some open houses. We've already knocked on doors around there because of another sale. We're going to keep doing it. I said, you know what? Okay, so it almost doesn't matter what this person wants to sell at. If you feel like getting that sign in the yard and you are going to work it properly to get another lead, another listing, another buyer, is that acceptable? Can be. As long as we set the right expectation with the seller. The seller, and yeah, I know you did. I trust that. So we need to make sure the seller has the right expectation. Mr. Seller, there's no chance in hell this thing's going to sell. And if there is that chance in hell that it sells, He goes, well, you ever been wrong? Yeah, I've been wrong before too. So, but yeah, there's no change in how this thing is going to sell. This is where the price needs to be at. This is where we see the value of the property. As long as you understand that and you're okay with sitting on the market and not selling, I'm all right with that. We can talk about that as long as you're going to do what they did. They worked the field. They held open houses. They went and talked to all the stuff. But here's the flip side to that. When you're talking to everybody else in the neighborhood, do they think you're an idiot for pricing a home $70,000 higher than what it should sell for? Oh, that's what I do. So, but do they think you're an idiot? Do they think they know what you're talking about? So there's two sides to this too. Yes, they do because they think it's crazy, but that's probably only this many people. No, they don't because it's like, yeah, I hope it sells. Sell it. Sell it, but my home's worth how much? You got to be kidding. So yeah, so there's a flip side to that. Or you get the people that are like their neighbors that know the guy and just want him to say, you know, no, sell it, get him out of here. But there's always an it depends with everything. If you're willing to work it properly to get another lead, your sole purpose whenever you get an opportunity and get a lead or get a listing or get a buyer is to get another buyer, listing, or lead off of that. If you work it that way, then yeah, it doesn't matter. But if you're not going to, quite frankly, it's going to be tough because you're going to have some objections to overcome. And guess what? No matter how much you tell the seller, guess whose fault it is? Yours. No matter what, it's your fault it doesn't sell. I don't care if you chose the property. It's still your fault. That's what he's going to say. It's never going to be their fault. It's always going to be yours in their eyes. So you really have to make sure that you consider that. But that's it. Hasta la vista.